Hey guys, I'm John, and in this video we're going to find out how ace I think this is.
Please don't screw this up.
So guys, welcome back to another video, and this is now my first PS5 game review, which it's a monumental moment. Guys, let's celebrate together. Or not, I'll just do Tommy Young. But as I have now finally finished Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the game. Okay, so Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5 is a continuation of the Spider-Man game that released exclusively for the PS4 a couple of years back. Now, in that game, we are introduced to Miles. We see sort of how he becomes Spider-Man. And then this game now explores sort of how he finds his own place in the world. So, whereas the other game, Spider-Man has been established for a good few years, so he was a more experienced and seasoned Spider-Man. This now has an origin story of sorts that shows Miles's just his first footsteps into the responsibility of being a hero and what it means and the costs of what it could do to somebody. And if you'd played the other one, then you're going to go into this one pretty much knowing what you're going in for, okay? So it's Spider-Man, all the mechanics of swinging is still there, the city's there to explore, and there's lots of missions. Now, obviously, this is pretty much just glorified DLC, and for the price they're charging for what you get, I think it is a little bit ridiculous. If you can get it cheaper, then by all means do that. I got this second-hand from games, so I got a pre-owned copy of it. I paid like £30 for a pre-owned copy, which is still expensive, but I just really wanted Spider-Man for the PS5, so that's why I got this copy. Now, as a Spider-Man fan, I love Spider-Man. This is an incredible game. Now, the game pretty much plays like any open world game. So you have a massive open world, there's plenty of mission varieties, and it's sort of you're allowed to tackle them certain missions how you want. A lot of the open world activities are also how you would like to tackle them. Now, the difference with this one and how Miles grows as a character is Miles has different powers than Peter. So he has his sort of electric charge, his bioelectricity, and he also has an invisibility camouflage. And the game has a great way of introducing these mechanics throughout the game. So you start off and you don't have them, and then you'll get to certain story parts, and Miles will sort of develop these powers. And it does really good into sort of incorporating them into sort of a lot of the puzzle mechanics. So there's a lot of puzzles where you've got to interact with like power charges and stuff like that. Miles has to use his electricity to charge them up or drain them and things like that. And there's a lot of sort of focus with his powers to use, and then you'll have combat challenges or stealth challenges and things like that, or stealth encounters where camouflage comes in helpful. And the game does a real good way of sort of incorporating all these things into it. Now, one thing I will say is this game, there's so much influence in this game from the Into the Spider-Verse movie from a couple of years ago, the animated film. Now, that was again a Miles origin story, and there's a lot of heavy influence from that film in this game. So if you enjoyed that film, then what's on offer in this game will be right up your street. Going to such things as like the music that's used throughout, even the score has sort of a slight beat that is very similar to what was used for Miles in that movie. And do you know what? I love the Into Spider-Verse film, and this does a great way of doing that. Now, combat in this is really good. So Miles has slightly different combat animations, which is good because it makes him stand out than Peter. So it doesn't feel like you're just playing a reskinned version of the previous game. And he has, like I say, different moves with his bioelectric, and they call it Venom Powers, which, yeah, okay, because they have a cool way of coming up with the name for the powers, but I just didn't like how they did. But But you have Venom Powers, so you have electric, so you can punch with like electric and things like that. And it's really cool how they incorporate it into the combat. All the features are back. You can web enemies, you can take the weapons off them. It's very fun, fluid combat. And once you get it going, it looks really sort of fancy as well. When you're flipping over dudes and sliding under dudes and like you're just pulling off all these combos. It's really cool. Okay, so it looks really good. And it just feels really good when you accomplish sort of defeating a massive room of enemies. It just feels awesome. And you're like, yeah, man, I'm Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man. And it does a really good job of sort of showing you these mechanics throughout. Now, the swinging in the game is incredible. Okay, the tools that are on show for you to use while you're swinging is awesome. The swinging mechanics have been refined in this one, even over the last game. And the last game was amazing to showing you how to swing. You could get from one end of the city without touching the floor, without touching anything. And it felt awesome and it looked amazing. And it still does in this, but now it looks even better. And another thing that makes this even better, especially playing it on the PS5, is when it's on 4K, ray tracing's on. You've got 60 frames a second because it has a performance ray tracing mode. And when you're swinging through the city, because this one's all set around Christmas time, and it's a snow-covered city, and you're swinging through it at like at high speed, it looks awesome, and it's just you can just get lost in it, man. You could just keep swinging around the city because the city's gorgeous. That this game is an absolute showcase of a game for me. I came from not having a 4K console, because I didn't have one of the sort of the midway upgrades of a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X, and going from a PS4 Slim to a PS5, the visual enhancements on this are amazing and they are a feast for your eyes when you're swinging through the city. And when it's on 60 frames a second, it is so smooth, it's so fluid, it is awesome, man. It is such an amazing game to play as. Now, my only thing about the swinging, or sort of the traversal aspects of the game, and these were present for me in the last game, is the wall crawling sucks. Wall crawling in these games is terrible. Now, in previous Spider-Man games, you could get to the edge of a building, in the open world ones, you could perch at the edge, and when you push forward, Spider-Man will crawl down the building. That's what he'll do. In this one, you just leap off. And then in this one as well, when you come into like the edge of buildings, the characters really struggle to sort of wall crawl around a building. There's like a little bit of an animation where they start moving around and then the character will go around. And for me, this was present in the last one. And obviously Spider-Man's referred to in many occasions as the wall crawler. But these games, it just sucks. That's one of the only things. And like walking up to a building, you'll just stand there holding it. And you just stand there and stand there. And I wish there's like a button prompt you could press that like you could grab on and then start crawling up. But he doesn't. He just stands there. Or there are certain times where you'll swing into a building, and if you just let go of everything, and you'll just hit the building and then fall off. And I'm like, really should stick. Or at least it should be a button you can press, a certain button. Even if it was just like, I don't know, just hold triangle and like as you get to the building you'll stick or something. Or if you're on the ground and street level and you walk up to a building, you can hold a button and you'll start to sort of traverse the outside of the building. But it's something that isn't present in these games. And I don't know why, because every other game's sort of done it. And it really bugs me because there are certain missions in these games where you have to wall crawl. It's mainly side missions, but like you have to sort of walk around, and it's very difficult. You sort of have to run around. But when you're running, again, you'll run to the edge of a building. You can hold circle on the pad, and you'll sort of web to the edge of the building and swing around it. But then you just free fall again. Now I wish you could sort of web onto it, and as you swung around, you swung onto it and carried on running. For me, that would have been a better feature, to just carry on running. If you want to let go, you'll jump off. But the game doesn't. He just wants you to swing. That's all it does. And do you know what, right? The swinging mechanics are perfect. They're the best swinging mechanics in any game ever. And, you know, they've refined it. But going forward, guys, I really hope that we can get wall crawling mechanics better. And that's the only thing I really say about it from a sort of control sort of viewpoint. Now, the story in it's really good. I was really impressed with the story. Overall, the Tinkerer is a bad guy. Yeah, it's a very small sort of villain, and it sort of makes this a more grounded. So in this sense, it's sort of Miles is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, similar how to sort of Tom Holland refers to himself in the MCU. That's what Miles is in this, and the Peter Parker in this universe is the big sort of superheroes, like Avengers level superhero. That's what he is. He deals with all this. But like Miles is the very grounded. He just wants to look after his home of Harlem, and that's what he wants. And in that sense, the story is very personal to Miles, and the game does a great way of sort of capturing a small scale story. And Miles' evolution as a character to get to the end was awesome. And when you see him at the end and he's a full sort of pretty much a full-fledged superhero, it was like I was really satisfied with how the outcome of it was. Like I say, the Tinker in it wasn't the greatest. Looked cool, visually stunning, don't get me wrong, but like who the Tinkerer was in this particular iteration of Spider-Man, I was a bit, yeah. I know why they did it, because like I say, they make a personal story for Miles, but overall, I was a little disappointed with that. But like I say, the graphics on it, I can't comment on the PS4 version, but the PS5 version is absolutely incredible. Now, it's awesome because it's got 3 different modes you can have. So you can have a performance mode, you can have a quality mode. So your performance mode is obviously 60 frames a second, with like upscaled 4K or checkerboarded 4K. Then you've got your quality mode, which is 30 frames a second in native 4K. And then they've also got a performance ray tracing mode, which is the mode I used. So it's in 60 frames a second. It's obviously checkerboarded 4K, but it's got the added ray tracing on it. So all the lighting effects and everything are more true to life as they would be in the quality mode. And it really shows because the lighting's just incredible, especially when like you're going through the city and you see everything reflecting off Miles' suit, or like the enemies in it, the underground, like the Tinkerer's gang. They've all got like these bioelectric sort of glows on them. They've all got like the purple, pinky glow coming off all their like equipment, and you see it shining and everything, and it just reflects off everything, and it just looks incredible. And like honestly, this game is awesome. When you're in cutscenes or when you do takedowns, it sort of slows down and you see Miles taking people down, and you can see the detail and everything on the suits. It just absolutely blew me away. Now, if this was a launch title and wasn't even a dedicated PS5 title, because obviously it's available on both platforms, and this is what they can do, going forward, when the architecture of the PS5 is fully explored by these developers, I can't wait to see what the sequel, what Spider-Man 2 will fully look like. It is just going to blow everybody away, I think. And that's what I'm hoping for anyway, because if this is how it looks now, graphically, this is insane. Going forward, I think we're just going to get bigger and better. Sound design on it is excellent. The voice casting is perfect in this. Everybody sort of really captures the role and is very convincing. Does a good job of conveying emotion throughout the game. Voice cast is incredible. Soundtrack's awesome in it. Even the ambient sound when you're swinging through the city is just spot on. You couldn't get it any better. And it's just, to listen to is awesome. I haven't got 3D headphones, so I can't sort of comment on the 3D audio side of it. Just sort of go everything kicking full volume out the soundbar, because you have to have a full volume, man. And it just sounds awesome. Everything's awesome. It's just, it's so ace. Honestly, the sound is amazing. And like I say, very heavily influenced by how the sound of Into the Spider-Verse is, with like the music side of it, the score side of it. Very much sort of in vein of that. You can tell there's a lot of influence there. Even Spider-Verse suits in there, and it does have a Vibe the Verse mod, which really sort of freaked me out. I had it on for a little bit, but the frame rate really bugged me. I was like, what is going on? That mod come out, and I just kept it as like the game wanted to play. Controls are awesome. The DualSense features on it are really good. As you're swinging through the city, as you're pulling the trigger, there's a slight resistance as you're web swinging, which was awesome. Which I thought was really cool how they integrated that in there. And the speaker on there, every time you fire a web, obviously you hear it on the TV, but there's other sound, a separate sound comes through the pad as well, which was just a cool feature. Just added that immersion of sort of you pulling the trigger, you pulling the web shooter, which I thought was really cool. And then the haptic feedbacks on it were really good. There's certain bits, like there's a bit where you're sitting on a train during a cutscene, you can feel the vibration going from one side of the pad to the other, and just like as if you're going over the tracks of a train, which I thought was really cool. And I really do hope that developers in the future take onto this feature within the PlayStation 5 that the DualSense can do, and they really do explore it. Overall, though, do you know what? Spider-Man Miles Morales was an amazing game. Okay, not as good as the last one in the sense of the story wasn't as good, and obviously because it's not as fleshed out, it's very short. Now, I've completed this now and got all the trophies on. I've got the Platinum Trophy, incredibly easy Platinum, just ridiculously easy Platinum. And on my second playthrough, my New Game Plus playthrough, I literally just played the story. Didn't do any side missions, no exploring, no collectibles. There's no need for it. Just a straight story run on New Game Plus. That was all I did. And it took me about 3 hours, just over 3 hours, something like that. And that was just to complete the story, which is short. So if you are looking to get this game, I would recommend sort of exploring a little bit, doing as much as you can with it. Because otherwise you're not going to get your money's worth out of it. And the game is really expensive for not getting your money's worth out of it, sort of thing. So do recommend doing that. Now, another feature in this game that wasn't present in the other one, on the last game, to 100% that game, you had to do all the crimes in each district, which was a nightmare because you had to just literally swing through the city, waiting for crimes to pop up, which was just a pain in the butt, to be fair. Now, that feature isn't in this. Crimes aren't part of the 100% in each district, which is amazing. But you have like a phone app, and you can sort of swipe left on your touchpad. It brings your phone up, and all your crimes are there, and all your side missions are there. And that application of the phone in there, it just makes everything so much more streamlined. And it's just easier to sort of keep an eye on everything and keep everything in check. I was really impressed with that, how they'd integrated it in, and how they integrate it in through the story, as it's a Miles exclusive thing. I thought was really good, and I'm hoping it's a feature that carries on in future games because it just made life so much easier when you're going for that 100%. It was brilliant. It was really, really good. So yeah, that's a really cool feature. But overall, guys, do you know what, right? If you find it cheap enough, I highly recommend it. Like I say, for the asking price of what it is, because like I say, it is very short. If you're not one full go for 100% for everything and doing as much as you can in a game, which is one of my downfalls, which is why I spend so long on certain games, because I just explore everything. And this game is really good if you're going for the 100%. Now, if you're not, then you're not going to get your money's worth out. Because like I say, the campaign itself, straight through and through, I did in about just over 3 hours, roughly. So, would recommend it. If you enjoyed the last one, this is a great continuation. Bit more of a side story. It would have been nice if it was included as DLC rather than a full game release. And hopefully next time they do a game, it will be a full game of a true sequel to the last Spider-Man game. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. There's very much teases at the end, like a mid-credit scene in the last game. And even in this game, there's an end-credit scene that features a very similar viewpoint on what the future of this franchise could hold. And I'm so hoping that we get what they're teasing and they don't disappoint. Hopefully. Come on. Spider-Man 2 is going to be it. That's where we're going. Well, there you go, guys. Highly recommend it if you're going to 100% it. If not, it isn't worth the money unless you find it cheap enough. For some reason, this game's just expensive everywhere, but it's cheaper on PS5 than it is on PS4. What the hell is that all about? Madness. Well, there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, drop me a like. Subscribe to the channel for more race content. Hit that like button, please. It really helps me out, helps my videos grow, and just makes my channel grow. And that's what I want, and that's what I'd really appreciate if you guys could do. Just hit that like button. If you want updates on the channel, follow me on Instagram. And with that, guys, I'll catch you later.